Hello everyone, this is Brett Suttles with Revizto. Today what I want to talk about is specifically for our clients that have used a 5.0 beta version and are trying to move that to 5.1, which was released yesterday, Thursday, October 29th, 2020. Here what we're going to talk about are the steps that we need to take to successfully migrate from this beta version to the other beta version. Now, while we have a more straightforward process from upgrading 4 to 5.1, this one's going to be a little bit trickier because we have been moving a lot of the data around in the software and the data structure of everything, trying to get to a point based on customer feedback. What we want to do is follow the steps that you see here in front of you in the video by first exporting our issues to VIMMRK format, which is our proprietary format, creating a new project in 5.1 and syncing that project to the cloud, then exporting your 2D and 3D content to the 5.1 project, and importing your settings from the 5.0 project to the 5.1 project, except for search sets and favorite properties, because these are affected by the data structure changes that we've made in the recent beta releases. Above all, we want to communicate this shift to the team and update users after the project is built. When the project is built, we can successfully update the users, and for them, it will be like just jumping into a new project with everything functional. Everyone will need to be on the same build when going to 5.1, including the users on the iPad app. The search sets will need to be rebuilt in this situation simply because of the underlying data structure that we have changed. We've merged some properties, we've eliminated some properties, all for the long-term vision of the product and how we plan to proceed with development in the future. These are very important changes that we've needed to make. So as we jump in here, the first thing we want to do is point out that we are on build 5.0 in the beginning of this video. This is the latest public 5.0 build before we released 5.1. Now, when I'm in this build, the first thing I want to do going back to the original screen that you saw was get my issues out of here into a format that I can bring back into 5.1 with all of the underlying data, such as the screenshots, the commentary, and everything that makes Revizto tick that way. We're going to go to the export key in the 5.0 project, and we're going to make sure all of our issues are chosen, and then we are going to export those issues in that VIMMRK format to a place where we can quickly get back to it when we rebuild our 5.1 project. So in here, what you're going to see is that I make sure that all of my issues are selected. Once all those are selected, I select done, and I choose a place to export those issues in that proprietary format. And I will be coming back to them very quickly as soon as we do the other setup processes for this video. Now, once those are exported and we know where those are located at, it's going to be very important to get right back to this file. So keep that in mind as we proceed through this video. Now, in the second phase of this, what we want to do is create a new project in 5.1 and sync that project to the cloud. This is very important because this establishes the new format in which it can receive the data and make sure that everything is working properly with your search sets, your appearance profiling, your favorited properties, and all of that which relate to the changes that we've made. So in order to do that, we need to go to the Revizto symbol, check for an update, and it will reveal the latest update that we've released. At this point, we want to install this update. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time, depending on network speed. You'll download the build, and then we will run that installation. And at that point, the 5.0 project is still going to exist, but we're going to be on a 5.1 build. So here what you're going to see is I'm going to run through the export process. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit so that we don't have to watch these progress bars here. Making sure that I'm, choosing the right plugins and everything there. And in anticipation for exporting my new models, I'm going to open up my authoring or my coordination tool in the background as well. Now, when I jump into here, what I'm going to do is I am going to fire up a new project. So over here on project, I'm going to choose new. And this is where I'm going to rename that project or name it the same depending on how you want to move forward. Here I'm going to identify that it is a 5.1 project. And I'm going to import my settings from the 5.0 project, which is still a live project, but just will not work with this build. We want to make sure we pull all of the applicable settings from that project to reduce the amount of rework that's going to have to happen in order to make 5.1 work properly. If you notice, I'm going to uncheck the shared favorite properties. The shared favorite properties are one of the templated settings that are directly affected by the way that we've changed the product in the last couple weeks. Everything else will still function properly as you bring that into your tool, so you will not lose dashboards or clash sync settings or any of the other settings. What we're going to do now is we're going to create the project. Once we create the project, we should see the users and all of the other settings make their way in here. There will be no 2D, there will be no 3D, no issues at this point because we still have to import those from various locations. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to open up the tool which is feeding Revizto with the models. In this case, it is Revit. And we're going to open up Revit and make the proper connections to the new 5.1 project. So in here, you can see the Revit project that we are using. We're going to jump up to the Revizto 5 tab. And in the Revizto 5 tab, we are going to link this model, which is coming from our 5.0 project, to the new 5.1 project. As you can see here, that link is broken because we've installed the new build. When we change the link, this is where we can choose an existing project, which is the one that we just created. After a few seconds, our splash screen should pop up with all of the projects that are available to us in 5.1. And as you can see in the top right, there's my Revizto School 5.1 project. I'm going to make sure that that link is created. I'm going to make sure that I specify the correct coordinates for the project. And when I say OK, that link is going to be established and we are now ready to actually export data into the project. Now keep in mind, if you're exporting manually, you'll need to redo that. And if you're exporting on the scheduler, you will need to reconfigure your export scheduler as well. All of our settings from the prior project should still be here, such as the view and whatever types of data that we've selected that we want to export, including the sheets. As you can see, the positioning is correct by shared coordinates, and we're going to go ahead and export this data into the project. Now, once we go through this export process, what we're going to see is that export is taking place. And while that export's taking place, we want to go out and grab that VIMMRK, which contains our issues, and begin to update the issues as well. At this point, we've reestablished a 5.1 project with all settings that can be transferred, and we are now re-importing the issues, and we are also re-importing all of the 3D content so that it properly matches up with our new data structure. As you can see here, we are now uploading those issues into the project along with all of the markups, the screenshots, the communication, the statuses, and any of the attachments. We can also see that the markup views are now becoming available with these issues. Here we can verify that everything is coming through properly. Here are looking at exporting that data simultaneously. So we have all of our issues coming back into the project. We have all of our applicable models coming back into the project. And all of our settings are already placed in the 5.1 project. Following these steps is going to reestablish your 5.0 beta project in Revizto 5.1. And after all of this is finished, we will be able to sync this project up to the cloud, have our users update, and then be able to use the project in the new beta build that was released yesterday. Once the models have made their way into the product from the new export, as well as all the issues from the VIM-MRK, we should be able to jump into our object tree and see that everything is functioning correctly based on the new underlying data changes that we made to the product. Navigation, properties, all should be available. We will have to recreate our search sets. We will have to create our favorite properties. Um, all of our stamp templates should made it in. I know this one's a little bit light on those as well. We should see the correct number of issues, and we should have all of the issue data here as well. So now what we want to do, that we've successfully moved all of our issues and our new models into that product, or into that project, sorry, we want to archive the old project, because what we don't want to do is have users attempting to open up the old project with the new build. There will be frustration in that. They will not be able to use it and will receive errors. So it's very important to make sure that before we roll out 5.1 to the team, that we rebuild the new project and make sure that we archive the Revizto 5 project. Once we archive that project, we can sync the new project up to the cloud and then begin to deliver it to the end users upon their individual PC or tablet update. Now we can see that that project is ready to be used, and the end users can begin to open up that project in the new build. Keep in mind, I've thrown the steps of this back up on the screen for anybody that wants to take a screenshot or pause the video at this point to kind of get a list of what is going to take to come from that 5.0 beta build to the 5.1 build. And thank you all very much for working with us during this process. Your feedback has been instrumental in why we made these changes. They're going to help us develop more and useful tools in the future for our client base. Thank you.